So before Pokopia was even announced and stuff, I've always been thinking about, like, what if we got, like, a cozy game for Pokemon? And it's kind of been in the back of my head for such a long time, and I want to say a couple months at the minimum, probably a little bit before, like, it was even announced. And my thought was always, like, you know, with the Pokemon games, I've always found it so appealing that they make them, and then they just don't really... There's just not much to do outside of, like, battling and in the newer games, like, the little, like, gimmicks with, like, either camping or the picnics. And my thought was always like, what if there was more to these guys? And there was just, you know, I guess, you know, just more to do with them than just battling with them and then putting them into, like, home for storage. So, in this video, I'm going to be talking about just a hypothetical, like, full-scale Pokemon home game. And, like, what that could look like. It's been on the back of my head for a while, and at first, this was actually meant to be, like, how do I say it? This was meant to be more of a, like, what if Pokemon had, like, a cozy game spin-off thing, and it just ended up turning into such its own concept. This was kind of meant to be, like, a Pokopia, like, pre-release video, not really talking about Pokopia itself, but just kind of, like, throwing my own ideas of the game, and I ended up just turning it into, like, a full-scale revamp of home, so I decided to shift it to that direction instead. So in this video, I'll be talking about what I had in mind for it and just discussing, you know, everything into that regard. So I guess the obvious disclaimer, if I don't get this out, this is completely just conceptual and just my own thoughts. Nothing here is real, nothing here is confirmed, nothing here is official. Please don't share it as such. But that's all, and I guess I'll get on with the actual video now, So just to establish some groundwork, if you've been around for my channel for any time now and you've watched all my Pokemon videos, you might know that I always kind of see Pokemon as a bit of like an ecosystem. I love home. It's one of my favorite things. Like, I say I got my 3DS because I just love, like, the bank home stuff, and, I looked into some of the other handhelds that I literally got 3DS just because, you know, I wanted bank, and I just like the idea of having all my Pokemon be transferable between games, and so for me, it's always kind of been like, what if Pokemon, like, one more with that, you know, for a game, or just kind of like as like a big hub. You know, we have home, but like, what if it was more than that? So that's kind of my main thesis for this concept, you know, like, if you go on your journeys for the actual games and then, you know, you kind of bring them back to home. So that's kind of where I wanted to go. But I think for, like, just some groundwork, the thing I had in mind was there'd be the base Pokemon home as is, and there'd be, like, what I'm proposing as my hypothetical, like, Pokemon Home Plus. So I guess we'll start with base home because that's kind of what the game is right now, but also, like, what I had in mind for it. So we'll go there next. So I think for the free tier of this hypothetical, you know, I think the main thing would want to be, I think it would be really fair to preserve Pokemon Home as just a convenient storage space. Like, I don't really like how Pokemon Home is monetized right now, where you kind of have to pay for storage upgrades. I don't like the idea of that, and I think having a separate Home Plus to kind of get more benefits while also having Home as a free service just for anywhere to dump, you know, all your Pokemon would be very, very convenient in my opinion, and kind of would be a better way in my opinion to have, like, the game function. So I think what would be the best way to do is, I think, in my opinion, I would say the thing to do would, I think any kind of base service for, like, I think just honestly Pokemon Home as is should be the free tier. Like, I would say get rid of, like, the storage limits, you know, so whatever storage you get with premium, you get for free. All the trading stuff should stay. Mostly just trading and storage, I think, should stay for the free tier. Basically, whatever's in home right now would be in the free tier a bit. I think the only change, and this will kind of tie into the Home Plus, is I think the main characters should be a bit different. An idea I kind of had in mind was, like, what if, like, the main characters of the game were professors? Like, you know, it'd be kind of cool, in my opinion, to see, like, adult main characters for a franchise game, especially given, like, my idea of home as, like, kind of like a hub place. It kind of makes more sense to have an adult in charge of just all this stuff than a child, you know? Plus, it'd be nice to have an adult, you know, for anyone, really. Just because most of the time the main characters in the games are, you know, not adults, but I think it'd be a nice change of pace to see something different for once, and I think they should kind of keep them a bit more blank. Like, I know usually the main characters are a bit more, like, personalized. I think it'd be cool to see the professors kind of be implied, like, these are just characters that are kind of, like, templates for you to customize and kind of, like, reflect yourself or make your own character or something. You know, I think it'd just be really cool to see, like, you know, the game kind of just become, like, your place, you know? So this is a lot of this will kind of sync more with my concept for Home Plus, but for the base home, it would basically just be, you know, you could customize your professor, you could with the storage, you could do, and obviously the bank stuff, you could do trading, just whatever's in home now, just without having to pay for it, I think. So that's kind of the base what I had in mind for just home as is. I think it'd be just a lot more fair of a way to, not have the I know people have criticized home for the fact that they make you pay, but then like you have to keep paying if you want your storage. I think they should just get rid of that completely, in my opinion, and change it to that, especially with what I have in mind. So I keep talking about it, so we'll go to what I have in mind for this hypothetical home plus next. So for like the actual game itself, I'm thinking there's a couple of specifications, I think, for just to establish what this is even. I think roughly, maybe, I would say probably 20 to 40 bucks, I think would probably be like what I think this should cost. Maybe 30 to 50, and that's what I had at first, and I'm like, maybe 20, 40, I don't know, but somewhere in like the 20 to 50 range seems reasonable for this. I don't know. I don't price games. I think the one thing I would like to see with this is probably cross-platform. I know home doesn't really have great cross-platform stuff right now. Like if you log in, you can basically only log in on the Switch and one mobile device. I think if we were to get this like reworked, you should be able to have it on iOS, iPadOS, like macOS, even like Windows and stuff, like Android, just anywhere with as many devices logged on as you want, plus the Switch, obviously. And another proposition I had is, I'll keep bringing myself back to this, but I kind of think of like a reworked like Pokewalker from like Heart Gold Soul Silver. I think that'd be really, really cool to see with this rework, just to kind of see that come back. Like, especially for, I'm thinking, any younger players who don't have a phone, who don't have an easy way to access how the game is going to work just on the go. I think this is like this would be kind of the way to like function some of the stuff. So I'll just keep on naming like the hypothetical Pokewalker just for going forward. And I think if you bought that, you'd also get you kind of get like a copy of the game, so you could either pay for the game itself and skip like the Pokewalker. I call it the Pokewalker 2, I guess, and then, or you can pay for it and then get the Pokewalker 2, whatever. And so I think too, so I guess the next would be the actual game itself. There were a couple inspirations for like what I thought of, but I think some things would mostly be like Tamagotchi, obviously, Pokemon Go. I was thinking Nintendogs, and mostly like Animal Crossing. Like, I wanted something for everyone. I didn't want any kind of player to feel like I wanted the game to be for anyone. Like, if you battle, I want the game for you to have stuff to do. If you like cozy games, I want stuff there to have for this game. So I tried to keep it as open as possible, just to have any kind of player who enjoys Pokemon have something to do here, if that makes sense. So I guess the first place to go would kind of be how the game itself would function. And I think the big one is going to be that there's, I guess, two big ones. One, it's going to be, I would say it would be like very hub-based, as I say. You wouldn't really be catching any Pokemon here. There'd be no one to catch. You would just be bringing stuff in from the other games and just having them stored in here, and to do this stuff with them. That I'll get into, in a bit. But the other thing, too, I think, is this wouldn't be like any kind of live service stuff, like no events, no log in every day, otherwise your Pokemon will miss you. I don't want any of that kind of stuff in here. I just don't really think, if you're paying for it, I don't think that should be even in the game. I don't like the idea of that, like, at all. So yeah, like you pay once and then you just have the whole game. There'll be, obviously there'd be online features, but there wouldn't be like, any events, there wouldn't be any limited time stuff. It'd just be you buy it and you have the game. So I think that'd be the fairest way to do it. And I think, to move on next, I guess I could go into like what you'd actually be doing as like the gameplay loop and stuff of the game. So we'll go there next. So for the gameplay, I do have a couple options of like what you'd be doing in the game itself. The first big one I had was kind of like a Pokemon Go inspired, like just get out and walk mode, where, you just kind of walk around and like, your Pokemon would kind of come with you. Like you would kind of track it with your phone or with the Pokewalker Plus or whatever. And while you're walking, you'd this wouldn't be so much like Pokemon Go's battling style or even like Legends EA. It would just be plain old like turn-based combat. And it would, you would kind of like be walking around and you would get like a pop-up maybe on your phone, like, oh, like, a trainer is requesting to battle you or something. And you wouldn't be forced into the battle just because I don't think that'd be safe to, do that. Or I think another option would be you'd be walking around and then you could kind of accumulate like battle requests. So then when you're done walking, you'd come back and you kind of just battle everyone. So you could either opt to do them, on the spot, or you could bring them to like, you could kind of go walk like, say, like maybe 2-3 miles and then you come home and then you do your battles when you're seated somewhere. I think that'd be a pretty cool way to kind of balance it of like how you prefer to play. So I think for that, what I'm going to get at is I do think that the main reason to battle in this game would be that, like, what you battle with a Pokemon, you would pick, and you kind of get, like, friendship on them, and then said friendship would translate to rewards, kind of, which I'll get to the rewards later. So I think of just like a kind of like a friendship accumulation system that would kind of sync across every game is kind of what the main point of all these games is going to be. So this would be the first one, kind of just like a Pokemon Go inspired, like go walk, go battle stuff, when you win the battles, or you even, maybe you could pick how hard they are, maybe you could even lose them, but you still get like friendship accumulation and stuff. So I think that'd be pretty cool. Maybe if you win, you get more. If you lose, you still get some, but you don't get as much. That way you're always making progress, just, to varied degrees. So I think that's kind of the first game mode that you'd have here. So I think the second one would probably be just a house designer. I'm thinking something like Animal Crossing or just any kind of house decoration game, You could either maybe build custom rooms for your Pokemon to kind of just live in, and have them like occupy space. You could make like you could kind of put the rooms together and make like a big house. You could make individual rooms if you wanted to just do that. Just some kind of room decorator or something that you could kind of like establish, like this is your space, this is where your Pokemon live, this is where they come to, I think that would be really, really cool in my opinion, and I think the other third one would be a think like Nintendogs. You could give Arceus a bath, you play frisbee with Rayquaza, think of that kind of stuff, just you play catch with them, you could bathe them, you could play with them, you could do all kinds of stuff, just taking care of them, maybe even like the scrubbing stuff, like how they have it in Scarlet and Violet, or even like, what they have in store and just some kind of way to just do like quick little like bonding with like your Pokemon, just kind of funny in a way with, who they could be, but just something silly I think would be really appealing in my opinion. Maybe it could kind of work with the house thing where it's like you kind of enter the house and then you could kind of play with like your Pokemon like individually and stuff. Like I think that'd be really, really endearing. I had two more in mind. I think just some kind of big social hub you could go to. Maybe like maybe you pick like one or two Pokemon who come with you to said social hub, and you kind of you could go around. You could talk to people. You could showcase like your Pokemon. You could do trading. You could I think it'd be cool too if they had like sync across games. Like so if you need to go find someone to go maybe to do like Union Circles with in Scarlet and Violet, or say maybe you needed someone to battle. Maybe you wanted to battle someone in like Pokemon Champions when that comes out, or you wanted someone to battle in Scarlet and Violet, or, Legends ZA or something. You just needed somewhere to quickly just battle with people. I think that would be really cool if they had some sort of just hub to, like, kind of meet with people and just engage with them, for trading, battling, any of that sort of stuff, I think would be really cool. I don't want to make this, like, a Champions replacement just because that game's kind of obviously, its own thing. So I think this is going to be a supplementary way to go and meet people to end up going into ZA, or, I mean, not ZA Champions, and just go battle them later on. I think another thing would be, I think they should do contests, like, especially I'm thinking like the super contests from Diamond Pearl Platinum and stuff, or even like the ones in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I think there'd be two options. You could either play online with, players, or offline with like CPUs. And I think it'd be cool if they kind of just expanded on those contests a bit more. So like, there'd be, imagine if there was like, you could do like 50 players online and just do like this big competition and see who ends up winning, or, even like 100 players, just something ridiculous, just like these big scale like competitions to keep coming back to get like a whole bunch of like, experience or stuff for your Pokemon if you end up winning it, or even just other rewards and sorts. So I think that would be really fun. And as I said, the main gameplay loop of this game would be like, you would play just to keep on getting rewards for your Pokemon, maybe there would, I don't think there'd really be a cap to it, just because the whole point of it is just, you want to show how much you care for your Pokemon, like, have fun, just knock yourself out, show how much commitment you want to put to your Pokemon, So I think the big thing to go next to will be the actual, like, rewards for the game, so I think we'll go there next. So next up is the rewards themselves, like, so, it's kind of at this point, I've established what the game would be about, so then the question becomes, what do you get for all this? And the main thing I really wanted to get at with these rewards is I don't really like when games kind of give you rewards and they're just meant for like flexing and being like really flashy and kind of obnoxious looking, so I didn't want to go there. The goal of this is just dedicate all you want to these Pokemon and just, have them as something that is of significance to you and, just to, I guess, show others like, I care about this one, even just for yourself, so... as I said, there would be some kind of like a friendship level bonding system. The more you play this game with your Pokemon, the higher like friendship they get. You get different rewards, you get different stuff. So The first thing I think that would be really cute is like some kind of like scrapbooking feature. So, maybe like when you put a Pokemon in, they come with like a little bit of like a scrapbook, and you could like write stuff in them. You could put like important dates for stuff. Maybe it would show like all the badges they have. Maybe they'd have like labels and stuff like that. I think that'd be really cool. Like when they're in another game, like their labels would show up. Any badges they have. Or I guess ribbons, I should say ribbons, and I think that'd be really cool. You could kind of put them on display. You could upload pictures from like the games and put them in like the scrapbook just to kind of show like, you could personalize the scrapbook to like, this is all my memories with this Pokemon from all these games. I think that would be just really cute in my opinion and just really charming. You could opt to either have them personal that way, they're just for your own keeping. You could make them public that way. Anyone could take a look through like your scrapbook and see how much you've kind of dedicated to like the Pokemon. It will kind of show like, as I said, the dates, like when you caught it, maybe like when you've done like big things with it or something. I think that would be really cool in my opinion. Another thing I think that would be cool is I think like animation like improvements, like so maybe like at first when you kind of bring your Pokemon into this game, they kind of just stand there, but then like the more you kind of like spend time with them, the more they kind of like run up to you when you like walk into a room, the more they like kind of stay close to you. It kind of just like the Pokemon kind of gets to know you, and I think it'd be really 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 cool in my opinion if they happen to sync this across games. So maybe starting with Winds and Waves, since that just got announced. So I think it'd be cool if I granted the odds of this are close to zero just because, as I said, this is fan concept, but I think it'd be cool if like, like you spend so much time like getting these guys like farmed up and showing your commitment to them in this game, but then it also goes to the other games, so when you're in Winds and Waves, maybe there's some kind of like canon explanation for this. I don't know, I'm not like really good with lore, so maybe there's some kind of explanation for like how these guys kind of know you across each game. I think that would be really cute in my opinion, so maybe when you bring your Pokemon into like say Winds and Waves, and you take them out and then they just know you and are kind of just closer to you and just have all their animation and stuff kind of without having to do anything. I was thinking too, I saw a video a while ago about like someone was proposing animations for like Pokemon based off their natures. I think that'd be a really cool way to integrate this too. So maybe like when you level them up to a certain point, they kind of adopt like an animation set based off of that, or maybe the more you unlock, the more sets you could pick for them. Just kind of, as I said, I want stuff that shows like dedication without it looking too like flaunty or flashy, just because that's not really my thing, and I think a lot of people would kind of prefer just stuff that shows you care about your Pokemon without it being like just a flex competition. So what else? I was kind of, I think the big one too was cosmetics. I would honestly say I don't know if they would really match like Pokemon that much and kind of just the world as they are. So, in my opinion, I don't think I would want cosmetics. I mean, maybe we could have them, but the reason I was thinking no is just because I feel like it might turn into just, like, accessories, just, like, dumping accessories onto your Pokemon just to, like, flaunt them. As I said, that's not really what I wanted with this. Maybe it could work. If maybe, I don't know, as I said. But I was thinking no cosmetics, no accessories. Just, as I said, animations, the scrapbooking. I think another one, too, would maybe be, like, Home itself. Like, the main overarching goal of it would be to have, like, this really big Pokédex, Like, we have all the Pokédex in the other games, but it'd be really cool to have one that just shows you, like, maybe, it'd be cool. Like, if you were making, like, your own Pokédex, like I said, the scrapbooking, but, like, maybe you can put your own pictures of, like, your Pokemon into the Pokédex, and, it kind of be, like, a really full-scale, like Pokédex of, like, a whole bunch of information about them, and kind of just own, like, one big place that you kind of builds up like over time, and that will kind of be like the overarching goal of like the game is you spend time with these Pokemon, you build up their friendship level, you get their rewards, and then you get like their Pokédex entries to kind of like really like fill up as time went on to kind of completing like a really 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 thorough Pokédex. Like, I think that'd be really cool, just imagine, like, the idea of just trying to, like, catch and befriend, like, all over, what is that, what are we at, like, I think 1,025 Pokemon, like, and probably more next year when Winds and Waves comes out, so maybe, like, 1,100, 1,200 Pokemon, just, have fun, I think that'd be really cool in my opinion. So, I think I have one more idea to kind of share before I close out this video, so I'll go there next. So the last big major concept I have for this game was kind of a, think like Streetpass from the 3DS. I think it'd be cool if they had something really inspired by that in here. So I think the way it would work is, I think it would be off by default, and you wouldn't be forced into it unless you really wanted it. But it would work with either your smartphone or maybe the Switch. I don't know, but definitely the that Pokewalker thing, the Pokewalker 2 thing that I mentioned earlier. And the way it would work, you kind of, when you run into someone, they'll kind of show up on like this type of, I guess like Streetpass, Poképass, whatever. I don't know what it'd be called. I'm sure I can't think of a name for it, but if you ran into someone in public who's also using, Home Plus, and you kind of get like you ran into this trainer in public, and then, or I guess professor this game is, so you'd be like, oh, you ran into this professor in the game, and, you kind of see like their Pokemon stuff, or maybe you could, request to battle them and maybe like champions, or maybe even in the game for friendship, or you could try to, you ask them for a friend request, maybe, like their Pokemon could show up in your place. Maybe you could like pick like a room where, like you have people who you met on the Poképass and their Pokemon show up in like your room and stuff. And maybe there's some kind of reward for like, doing like caring for the Pokemon or something. I think that'd be really cool. Even like the scrapbooking, maybe like it would show you like, if you like ran someone who was like running the same like Pokemon as you, like out in public or something, like it would say like, oh, like you ran into someone who's running this Pokemon as well on this day, and then like it would kind of put like a little anecdote, or maybe like you could personalize it and say like who's your favorite Pokemon, and then when you run someone who also has the same favorite, it would show you that. So kind of just fun little stats of like all that kind of stuff. I think that'd be really cool in my opinion, just to make the game feel super like alive, I guess, and kind of like this functioning ecosystem where there's all these other people playing it, and you could kind of see their rewards and what they're up to too. So I think that'd be really cool. So I think that's everything, honestly, and I guess I'll move on to my conclusion now. So as I said, I was really fond of this idea of like a hypothetical like Pokemon home rework. As I said, the idea of this game has kind of been in my mind. I want to say maybe since July, August. I remember kind of thinking of like what it would be like to have a game like this, and as this was kind of, at first I had this video in mind as like a Pokopia video, like, Pokopia seems cool, but like here's my idea for a Pokemon cozy game, and then it just ended up turning into like a full scale like home rework that I was like, you know what, like whatever, I guess I'll just make this like a home rework video. So I guess this is where I open up the floor to anyone. So if you like the video, let me know. Do you think this is a good idea? Do you not like the idea? Do you not play Pokemon like this? Would this not be appealing to you? Do you play Pokemon like this? Would you find this to be like really awesome? Let me know in the comments, even like with Pokopia that's coming out, are you looking forward to that coming out? Are you getting it? Are you not getting it? Feel free to start a discussion as always. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like, feel free to comment, feel free to subscribe, and I think that's really everything, honestly. So if that's all, then I think that's everything, and I will see you in the next upload. So bye-bye.